We're joined by James. How you doing, James?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Because there's a lot to be said, isn't there?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a full-on roast tonight. 'Cause I'm already fucking mood.
Oh, are you? All
Uh,
right, all right.
Let me just give a couple of shout outs. I've got Andy on after this. Uh, Not booked in for tomorrow, Tuesday, because I'm going to be training tomorrow and I'm going swimming uh, with my brats. Uh, Adam Etchits and Tim Wednesday, Jerry Wednesday, and 8 o'clock. And Peter De Freitas, the legendary Peter De Freitas, Wednesday as well. Uh, okay, take it away, James. What did you think to the Riyadh show? Pop, pop, bang. Away you
What
go.
did I, what did I think? Well, I'd like to say that again, Talksport have sort of excelled themselves with the bum licking because 1 minute, Martin McCauley, he's this, he's that, he's the bogeyman, he's gonna shock the world. And now you got Simon Jordan coming out and going, oh, it's a silly fight. That should never have happened. It's funny how the media's narrative just changes, isn't it? You know what I mean? Um, Obviously, that was a mismatch. Um, he's come in vastly overweight, probably jet lagged. Like, why would you invite him in from the Congo on that? On paper, the fight looks good, but the reality vastly differed from what was on paper, didn't it, really? Josh Padley, well done to the boy. For lasting 9 rounds against someone who, allegedly is sort of a pound for pound great. But if you can't get Josh Padley out there before 9 rounds, you've got to ask serious questions about yourself. You know, I think they'll steer him away from Tank Davis because I think he'll get absolutely destroyed if Padley can throw hands with him at the stages during that fight. Um, a word on someone who wasn't on the show, Daniel Dubois. We're going to see how long he's out for because if he's out for a very long period, we know it's a silent ban. I've got my suspicions there, to be honest with you.
Have you?
Um, and yeah, Joseph Parker, get him in with Ajit Kabayel because Ajit Kabayel is going to be the man in the division after Usyk, I think.
Well, James, you've just spoke about the old. You've just took my script off me for all night now. What want to talk about?
Oh, go on, I can still go on. You know me, I can talk.
Right, James. Let's start at the very beginning. Daniel Dubois pulled out, right, on the Thursday, yeah?
Hmm.
So we all agree with that, right? 2 o'clock a.m. to 3 a.m. on the Friday, in jets Martin Bacoli, 22 and a half stone. So we agree on that, don't we? Yeah?
Certainly.
Right. He's had to go from the Congo to Ethiopia to Saudi via Dubai. Talksport, Adam Cattle said that he had to get four actual planes. What a propeller one in the Congo to a jet, then to Ethiopia, then to Dubai, then to Saudi. His words, we all heard that, didn't we?
Yep.
So he's jet lagged. He's got the early hours on the Friday. Yeah, we agree with that. Yeah,
Yep.
weighed in Friday tea or whatever it were, lunchtime, fought Saturday. He's not sparred since August, so we agree on that. This is what's been said in it,
Hmm.
right? So, and obviously we've got him down 3 years ago fighting at under 18 stone, 17 stone, and something, haven't we? So,
Yeah.
do we agree then that he's overweight, he's not trained, he's had all them flights, and he's not prepared for Parker? So, was there a safety element dismissed by certain individuals? Yes or no?
Yep.
Right.
100%.
But they said they stopped the bar fighting for safety reasons. Do we agree with that?
Indeed.
Right. So basically, these people don't care for boxers. Do we agree with that?
I certainly agree with that.
Right. as you and me, we've both worked in boxing industry and we've seen what happens close up. I personally am disgusted by all on board. Now, some people are saying you can't blame Billy Nelson, but I'm going to blame him because he's his trainer and manager. They had a mandatory fight in May. You win that against the Jagba. You parked up for a world title shot. Isn't that the holy grail?
Of course it is.
Now we had this with Joe Joyce, didn't we, when he was WBA ready for the mandatory slot? It got took away from him by Zang, didn't it?
Yeah.
McCullough's at bottom at pile now. Do we agree?
Yeah, he is now.
Do we agree that Juggy has said it's a better fight than the Dubois Parker one? McCauley Parker's a better fight. We agree with that, don't we?
Yep, 100%.
And what are they all saying now?
Well, as I mentioned, it's a joke of a fight. It should never have happened, that. Eddie Hearn sticking his little fly in the ointment.
So
all about the money.
So how can anybody buy into anything now that these people in the mainstream media are saying? So I personally, because I've been banging on about this since 2017, November, since I started doing this. But I was also banging on about it April 2015 when I started with Fight Academy, Dennis Hobson. And Dennis went, "Oh, don't be shouting and rocking boat." I probably put Dennis back a few years because I used to tell people what I thought. Because they go on about the border control, we're forever quoting the Green Book on the phone. You know what they're like. About safety. Safety is paramount about fighters. That's all Roberto Smith, Charlie Giles, and all of them go on about.
Yep.
And yet they put a guy in there in that shape like that who couldn't get his punches off and he couldn't get out of the way. So I say to these people who think they're like Jack the Lads, who do a bit of training and that, go and put 5 stone on your back in a rucksack. Now, I know what it's like. Put a 10-kilo weight in a rucksack on my back and go for a run. I know what it's like. I have to stop all the time. And you know what? When you get it off, you're absolutely shattered. And the next day, you can't move. That's just with 10 kilo, a 10 kilometer disc or 2 5s rattling away in my rucksack. So try it with 5 stone. You what, James?
I had you on mute then, mate. I was saying that to my son.
Because you know what you're doing. You're getting to be like Kent with your mute button.
No, go on.
Right. So what are you doing? Are you interrupting me now, or what are you doing?
No, I missed. Someone's just at the door.
Right. Shall I start again, James? I shall just fucking click it off.
Go on.
What I'm saying is this. The man carried too much weight, didn't
he? Yeah.
Right. He couldn't get his punches off. Do we agree on that, yeah?
Yeah, we could agree with that.
It weren't safe for him, James, was it, really, for Martin McCauley? Come on, you know your boxing.
No, he's jet lagged to fuck. How's that safe? It's not safe at all. I'm surprised he wasn't asleep. He shouldn't have been in the ring.
So why can't these people in the mainstream media, all them who said it were a great fight, Eddie Hills, Juggy Oliver, that lick of the gad, Puppy Parsons, Cougs, why can't all these and Billy Nelson all come out now and say, look, it were a pony fight. As soon as we got off plane, it should have been stopped. Somebody should have said to him, you can't fight in that condition. You've not sparred in 6 months. But yeah, we've had Spencer Brown coming out saying that he's got something up his sleeve and he's been in camp. And Billy Nelson saying he'd been in camp, and then it's come out saying he wasn't in camp, not sparred since August. It's a shit feed. What we've had on that show is we've had Dubois, right, not coming out and speaking to fans about this issue, why he's pulled out. The heavyweight champion of the world, or the guy who's got a version of one of the belts, one of the 5 belts. He's also got all belts, and he's got one of them. He's not come out and explained why he's pulled out with 2 days to go. He's not come out. His promoters come out and he's talking about medication that he's took that might be banned, and they've had to speak to other people, and the fight got pulled, and they've left it at that. Right? They're trying to cover their asses. Nobody wants to talk about it. Do you see where I'm coming from? So that's the ugly. We've got the good Callum Smith, Boatsi, Better Beaver and Bibble. We've got Shakur Stevenson in with a kid that's very gritty, right, and tried his art out. And that's the dark side of boxing. Again, it's this kid who's supposed to be pound for pound. We now realise the yin. And then we've got Martin Bacoli getting off of all them aeroplanes, fat as a pig, double Michelin man, right? Ate too many crocodile sandwiches. That's what we've got. We've got all the media, all of them, all trying to piece it all together and do an absolute lick feast, right? And then we've got Turkey Al Sheikh allegedly looking at scorecards and passing messages on to fighters' corners. And nobody's stopping this. So who's running this shit feast of a show?
Well, it does make you think, doesn't it? Because who is running it? Because I think Frank Warren, Bricktop might have had something to say to Daniel Dubois. Because look at what's happened as well. The biggest corrupt situation going. Oh, now he's going to be fighting Alexander Usyk. How does he deserve that? You
How
swerve.
can he jump the queue to fight Usyk when he just pulled out of a fight and there's suspicion around some medication he's took, and yet he's not doing an interview apologising to fans 2 days to go?
Yeah.
He's pulled out with 2 days to go and he's turned into a giant mute, eh?
Yeah.
What do you think we're wrong with him?
Well, I said it before. My suspicions are he's failed a drugs test.
Well, my
Because
suspicions are he's been eating too much cornbread.
yeah, exactly, doing the old John Coffey. No, I just think they've not actually said specifically what this illness is, have they, in the media, right? And then you're talking about medication. Isn't clomiphene a medication for infertility? Well, that's what Conor Ben failed on. Let's not dress it up. If you fail, you fail. It's a drug. You fail, then that's how it is. And like I said to you before, I'm very interested to see how long Daniel Dubois is out. I'll be counting the days because the longer it is, the more it smells silent banny. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's right.
Right, antihistamines, they're a medication, but they're also on banned list with
Yeah.
ARDA. Clomiphene's on the banned list with ARDA. All stuff's, there's some stuff you can get on Amazon or over the counter in a sports shop. Some of it, yeah, you might think, oh, it's all right, but a lot of it's on the banned list. Boxers, but what's that word called? Where they have to be responsible for what's in the system.
I know what you
Strict
mean.
liability.
Yeah, strict
Strict
liability.
liability. And if he's admitted to taking them and they've double checked, they've obviously pulled him, haven't they? It might have been by accident, but we're not getting to the bottom of it. And the mainstream media are not pushing for an interview with John Coffey to ask him, what has you been taking apart from cornbread? Do you know what I mean?
They're not going to, though, because they're all on the gravy train. Strict liability, the boxer doesn't even need to know. Strict liability just means you've taken it, so you're in trouble. The boxer don't even need to know. So, I mean, Daniel Dubois might not have ingested it knowingly, but the fact is he pays a lot of people a lot of money to make sure that everything's hunky-dory in his gym. And the fact that they're staying silent over what this illness is, I just, with the current situation and the current crop and the current level of BS that's floating around, especially, it's just, it smells silent banny to me. And then could be a silent ban coming up because, I mean, he would have only just failed it over the weekend, wouldn't he? But to then turn around and go, oh, you know what? He jumps the queue. Usyk wants to fight him next. That's just basically an FU to Joseph Parker, and it's not fair at all. Because, all right, Bacoli was an absolute state, but Parker can only beat who's put in front of him. And that's what he's done. And he's had a couple of good wins recently. Same with Ajit Kabayel. It pushes people back further to the back of the queue because he's not being totally honest. It's an absolute shit show, Russ.
Well, he's not fought for 5 months, Dubois, and if it's going to be another, I don't know, if he's out while June, that's 9 months he's done without a fight. So I don't know, but like I said, he's 5 months out the ring, Dubois. So we need to keep an eye on how long he's going to be out of the ring. Is it going to be a Lee Wood job? Because no, Lee Wood in his prime Yeah, we're world champion. And all of a sudden, he's not a world champion. He's not fought for all them months, has he?
No, exactly.
Oh, it's all a bit of a shit feast, isn't it? But I'm disappointed that the bar can't come out and speak to the fans.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're supposed to be heavyweight champion of the world, aren't you? Whether you go via email or not, you're supposed to be this paragon of virtue and be a good role model and all that. All the things that I didn't agree with over Tyson Fury, and I'm glad he's not the champion. So you don't want someone else taking the mantle who's, you know, his reputation could be in tatters. Really, come out and be honest about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you, but it is what it is. Where does Bacoli go now?
Um, well, he gets on a plane 650 grand richer, according to sources, doesn't he? But I mean, he can quite easily though. And this was another thing about Talksport: the fact, oh yeah, he's in a win-win situation because if he loses, he can come back because he's a late replacement. So let's see if Talksport, not Talksport practice what they preach. Because are they going to vilify him and be like, well, you're the bottom of the pile? Or are they going to shout for maybe even a Parker rematch and just say, look, get him in there when he's been able to train, when he's not a late replacement, and we'll see what happens. Be interesting to see how that unfolds. But really, I think Josie Parker needs to move forward. He was done dirty on Saturday night, in my opinion. And you can only beat who's put in front of you. Move forward. And I want to see him in with Ajit Caballero next.
Yeah, but Parker, all he's doing is fighting old men, and he Wilder, Zang, Chisoras, Bacoli's, old fat men.
He is, but he's also clearing. He's clearing out the crap, isn't he?
Now these lot are
So,
not going to go. These
you
are
don't
not going
think?
to disappear. These lot, there's too much money at stake. Look at the size of Zhang. He's got an whole country behind him for pay per view. They're not going to let Zhang go anywhere. Kent says he's a 2 round fighter.
Well, he was. He was more than that the other night. But when them body shots, when he was blowing out of his arse, wasn't he? Like, what do you think of Caballero, Russ?
I think he's tubby. And I think if you're getting dropped off Zhang, an old man with a big belly, I don't think you're the real deal. I think he's been fun out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's been fun out, me. Yeah, I do.
I'm
I don't
just.
think he's. Well, who's his best win, Caballero?
Yeah.
Zhang.
Well, you would say Zang, wouldn't you?
Well,
Really?
there you
Or,
go. Who's
yeah.
Bacoli's best win?
Uh, just prospects, isn't it?
Oh,
Tony Yoka, probably.
Tony Yoka. How many? He'd had an handful of fights, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Couple of handfuls of fights. So basically a novice. That's his
Yeah.
best win. Jared Anderson. Who'd he beat?
No one.
There you go. Everybody got carried away with the Billy Nelson hype. Nobody's saying Bacoli in the top tenner, but they're all carrying on like he was best in the world, and people bought into it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? People bought into these sparring stories. Let me tell you this. White Rhino flogged Joshua sparring up at EAS years ago. Flogged him. But you're not going to do it all the time. My sparring stories mean dog shit to me. It's what you do on
Yeah.
the fights. People got carried away by Bacoli and Parker, but when you scratch the surface, they're not roadmen. They're not.
No.
Parker's too big and heavy. He's too ponderous. He'd be too ponderous against somebody like Usyk, wanting a title shot. So he's just there to mop up the money. That's all. Okay, let's move on to. We've spoke about Zhang and Caballero. Where's Zhang go?
Well, you put things in perspective there, and to be honest, I contradicted myself because I have actually said that while money's on the table, not many fighters are going to go anywhere. So I have to backtrack and sort of agree with you there, Russ. Thinking about it, he's got the biggest market in the world behind him if they use it correctly, plus the weight of the Saudi money. So why would Zane go anywhere? I just don't. I like him because he's. Do you know what I mean? He's got that big bang Zang thing where they get him to say funny things and all that. Seems to be a bit of a personality. I don't dislike him. I don't want him to become cannon fodder for certain up and comers though. So they probably
Yeah.
will just recycle him and have him on this heavyweight roundabout, but I don't want it to happen.
Personally, I think he's a big useless stiff. Uh, all right, then moving on from their benches of Tintin. Shakur Stevenson against Josh Padley, a Donny lad.
Mm.
I hope Josh Padley goes on to better things and secures his future, but I don't think Shakur Stevenson's a top 10 pound for pounder now, do you?
No, well, he can't. If you're taking that long to get Josh Bradley out of the way, I think you need to ask yourself some serious questions about your power. And also, as I mentioned before, they keep talking about this Tank Davis fight. I think, Padley was not taking it to him, but he was sort of trying to put a dent in him over time in that fight. And if Tank does that to him, I think he's going to be in serious trouble. So they might have to look at the roadmap for Shakur Stevenson now after that fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay, we'll not dwell too much on that, but well done to Josh Padley. You did South Yorkshire proud, kid. You did South
Definitely.
Yorkshire proud. Virgil Ortiz against Israel Madrimov.
That was a bit of a. I quite enjoyed that fight, to be honest with you. A bit of a barn burner, wasn't it? I didn't score it though, Russ. I
Hey,
just, I didn't sort of, I wasn't looking at the scores or anything like that. I was sort of enjoying it for what it was. I can't really comment on the score, but yeah, Ortiz looked like he was shook a couple of times during that fight, which was, I mean, he's been coming up, he come up to light middle, didn't he? So it's not really a surprise, but that was an entertaining scrap, and I forgot that it was on. So it just sort of, it was nice that it was nice to get that sort of surprise mid card and just get a little bit of a barn burner as it was. I enjoyed that one.
did you?
I think Madrimov is going to be. I think it sort of highlights the lack of depth in that division. Really, I think you've got Terence Crawford, in you, and then sort of who else have you got? Because I think Virgil Ortiz, whilst he sort of won the fight, I think there were instances where Madrimov sort of shook him up a little bit, and I think, well, I don't know, Virgil Ortiz has been shouted about. You can't really be getting shook. He should have gone in there and been a bit more comprehensive. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. The questions have got to be asked about the light middleweight division, and then we move into the middleweight division as well, which the other questions have got to be asked there, aren't they? But you're going to ask me about that.
Mm.
Indeed.
Well, we'll come to that one at the end. That's the main course, that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
That is the main course. But I want to talk about Joshua Boazzi against the giant mute.
Yeah.
Callum
That
Smith.
was
What did you think?
it was class. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I've never really been a fan of. Well, I was a fan of Callum Smith in the very beginning, and then he just sort of like he used to just come to fights, put his hands up, and just hope for the best. Do you know what I mean? I was really, really impressed with him, and I've got to say, well done. Not that he's bothered about my opinion, but I didn't think with the millions that he's got in the bank and what he's already achieved in boxing that he would really be able to get up as much as he obviously showed he did against Joshua Uatsi. Fair play to you. He really pulled it out of the bag there. So well
Yeah,
done.
he fought well, Callum Smith. Do you know what? I thought his tools weren't sharp personally, but we have to give him his credit where credit's due. We fought his heart out with a bad cut on his eye.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Smiths. Yeah, so the Smiths managed to get a win, but Boazzi's not a world champion or a former or a current one.
No.
So, or a future one by the looks of it, is Virgil Hunter just a one-trick pony with Andre Ward?
I think it's a bit of an odd pair in that, really. I think Virgil Hunter because he's a very sort of laid back guy, and so is like you don't really see Joshua actually getting very passionate or anything like that. I think Josh actually could have done with at times a sort of trainer that would put a rock up his arse.
Mm.
Um, so I don't know. It's a bit of an odd pairing. I do find it weird when Brits go to Americans, really,
Yeah.
just because because I don't know. You've really got to have discipline, haven't you, to go over there and really sort of lay roots. I think you've got to lay roots there to be a success. You
Mm.
can't keep coming back every 6 months and then, you have it with what's he called, Ben Whitaker. You had it with him as well, didn't you? With American trainer in Sugar Hill Stewart, and he could they couldn't do it, could they? They were back and forth, back and forth. So maybe he needs to start looking a bit closer to home, and he needs to continue being active. I think Josh Buatsi, I think that's going to serve him better. He's had one of them weird careers, hasn't he? Like we've had, is it 8 years or something since he was an Olympian, and he should have already been a world champion by now if he was going to achieve it. And I think the boat's come too late, and he wasn't on it. That's my opinion. But
Yeah.
yeah, re-establish yourself with a British trainer and see what you can maybe get on there with Rob McCracken. You know what I mean? See what you can do.
Yeah, yeah, good old Rob McCracken. You might be able to pull a few strings and get him at EIS or something. Get back
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Buddy McGirt with a win over Virgil Hunter, though. Is he going to be go to Buddy McGirt, the new Dark Lord?
He's the best. Yeah, I don't
He's
know.
the best.
Probably.
I
Um,
don't rate Buddy McGirt, man. I don't rate him at all. I think he needed a win. It was a life and death with a guy who's never won a world title, who's never really beat anybody of any note. A life and death. So, what would better Bevo Bivol do to the giant mute?
well, they've but Serbia have already showed what he can do. You
Yeah,
know, Bivol would do a similar job, but just in a different manner. He'd slice him up like a razor, whereas Baturbiev was a big tank when he just running through him. I mean, people are going to give Buddy McGirt credit, but let's be honest, that was still a Joe Gallagher style in there. Nice and compact, nice and tight,
yeah.
and fitness got him through that fight, didn't it? As well as firing back. And Joe Gallagher's known for his fitness, so let's not give Buddy McGirt too much credit, eh?
I don't like Buddy McGirt. He's a mercenary. He's never done and he's never done anything with anybody from debut. Never. He's one of them that comes in at back end of the career like he did with Gatti and
Hmm.
Callum Smith. When everybody else has done all heavy lifting.
Yeah, I'd come.
Do you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. You might think I'm being harsh there, but Callum Smith, for me, he's not engaging. He's done very well to make millions out in a sport that he doesn't give us anything. He's not mega exciting, and he don't give you nothing outside the ring, does he?
No,
He's
not
just that
really.
quiet guy in the background, and people say, "Who's that there?" And they go, "Oh, he's one at Smiths." You don't even have any identity, in my opinion.
No.
You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Uh, hmm. Liam Cameron's come out on James English. He's admitted he were a cokehead. Do you think it's a bit late in the day for people like Sam Sheed and Nicky Gemman, 7, 8 years ago?
How the hell? Why would you do that? Is he thick as pig shit?
Well, yeah, he is thick,
Well,
actually, isn't he?
I've come out and said I'm a cokehead, but I've been and people have been advocating for him as well. I did, saying like, oh, it's terrible what happened to you, 4 years recreational drugs, right? Which I do think it is bad because it's not performance enhancing, is it? Cocaine, but you
I
can't
saw
then turn.
paperwork he got offered an 18-month ban if he'd have coughed it. He went, "No, I'm innocent." Dennis were like, "I
Yeah,
can't believe it."
and then he comes out and fucking says that. Well, he's an
Comes out and
idiot.
says he were a raging sniffhead.
Yeah, no more sympathy for him. I still want him to beat Ben Whitaker though, because I can't stand Ben Whitaker. So, I'm all for it for that fight. But if you're just an idiot, no sympathy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I haven't seen the full interview. People have just sent me snippets, but I'm disappointed with him because I've got a lot of time for him. I know him very well. He should have just kept it to himself. And bit like Crusher Ben, he's not going to come. He's not that dim, is he? Well, he
He's
isn't, is he?
not,
Crusher's not going to come out and admit he's been
well,
eating so many eggs, is he?
I mean, he's not that bright either, though, is he, Russ? Look at that car crash interview. And you could, like with Piers Morgan, I mean, you could turn around and say that it wasn't stage managed very well by his team, but this he was a privately educated kid. He should have a bit more intelligence and go on the telly and try and fight his
Yeah.
corner when you know.
He finished. Right, I'll go on to
I
part
think
two then, yeah.
will do, mate. All right, see you in a bit.
Good steady in that wheelchair with remap. I'll see you on part two.
I
Pop,
will
pop,
do.
bang.
See you in a bit, mate. Bye.